You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, listen up and listen good. Fired up as always to be on the air with you on a Locked On Tigers Postcast, a live edition. I am your host, Jake Riepma, at Jake_Riepma on Twitter, formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, the flagship, now with Locked On Tigers Postcast. And I had a proclamation right before we went on the air that based on what just transpired at Minute Maid Park, we're just not going to let the Tigers steal our joy tonight. So open mic, open comments. We'll get into all of it, but the Tigers are shut out for the 7th time this season, 4-0. They just never stood a chance. And you waste another Tarik Skubal start. So I'm fired up, but I'm not going to let this subpar, marginal, boring, lifeless baseball team steal my joy on a Friday night. And I hope you all will do the same. So let's get into a Locked On Tigers postcast. As always, we thank you for making this your Detroit Tigers post-game destination, your Locked On Tigers postcast. As always, we are live and ready to go immediately following the final out. And thanks for making Locked On Tigers postcast your first listen every day, free and available wherever you get podcasts, and of course on YouTube, Locked On Sports Detroit. Your friendly reminder to go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell a friend about it as well. Doesn't cost you anything. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. I wouldn't dare to encourage you to go to a Tigers game, so use that $20 off for something else, a concert, a comedy show. Well, the Tigers games are a comedy show, so that's one and the same there. But my point is, use that $20 off your first purchase for something other than a Tigers game, because I just think this is it for me. I said I'm not going to get upset, and I'm not going to scream into the microphone, and it's not going to be a Friday night where I let a bad baseball team take my joy. Well, Jake Riepma, it sounds like they've taken your joy a little bit. But what did we just watch? I mean, it's just bad baseball. There's just nothing to this team. There's no reason to tune in. And those that do tune in and night out, I applaud you. You love baseball. You love the Tigers. I love baseball. I love the Tigers, but we just don't deserve this. I mean, 7 shutouts this season, 7 reasons not to even show up if you're a Tigers fan. And that's not even counting the number of games we've lost 2-1. And again, I'm sorry that it's not the sky is falling. There's a lot of other things going on as it pertains to the Tigers, but you got guys, little league stuff, missing first base on an extra base hit by Kreidel. I mean, what is that? You really can't even make it up. So as I said in the open, I want tonight to be an open mic, open comments like it always is. But, I just don't want to go through the X's and O's and say, oh, this is that bad. We were close. Gio Urshela flashed some leather here and there. Colt Keith with 2 hits in the game, sure. But Tarik Skubal, he can't win if you don't score any runs. And meanwhile, you got Hunter Brown, who, credit to him. In fact, I'm wearing a cap, so tip of the cap to Hunter Brown. The guy played in your backyard at Wayne State, Division II, the Wayne State Warriors in the heart of Detroit, and grew up a Detroiter and just threw 7 scoreless innings against his hometown team. So kudos to Hunter Brown. And fun little fact for you, I called a game that he started for Wayne State when I was broadcasting Northwood baseball games back when they were in the same conference as Wayne State. So you know what? It's on a night like tonight where you've got an incompetent baseball team like the Tigers. Sure, go get them, Hunter Brown. Kudos to you. Shut out your old hometown team. Props to him. So let's get to the comments right away. And what a way to start it out from Kevin81. Oh no, we suck again. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it was fun for a night there, or an afternoon. I guess yesterday was an afternoon game, but sure. The Tigers avoid the sweep against the Nationals. They did the same thing the series before against the Brewers, just get waxed the first 2 games and then, pull one out in the finale to avoid the sweep. But it's just, It's more of the same. It's the treadmill to nowhere. Treadmill, whatever, running like the hamster in the wheel, just going nowhere. So Kevin 81, I agree. It does feel like we suck. And it's just, the quality of the at-bats. I mean, honestly, it's just deadening the ball into the ground and hoping for the best. There's just, there's no personality to this team. There's no anything. I mean, and with Javi Baez out of the lineup, you think, oh, so we got a breath of fresh air. No, we get Ryan Kreidler missing first base like a little leaguer. I mean, it's just you can't make this stuff up. And like I said, if you tune them out on a Friday night, you go do something, you go, watch the NBA finals, or you go to a concert, or you hang out with friends and have some adult pops, anything besides watching the Tigers baseball. You sit around a campfire, for goodness sakes. It's summertime in Northern Michigan. I'm sorry, that's my Best Kid Rock, but you get the point. Like, this is it's okay. 162 games. I'll do that whole sing and dance, whatever it's called, because and not get fired up like I said I wouldn't, but I'm struggling tonight, and that's as transparent as I can be, trying to figure out a way to continue to be invested in this Detroit Tigers team. Kevin 81 said you should come down to Alabama. We have an RTJ course by my house. Hey, Kevin 81. Yeah. This is you know what? That's what we're going to do tonight. We will break down things other than Tiger baseball. And if you're catching the audio only version, I'm sorry, but again, it's not worth talking about the Detroit Tigers baseball tonight because they lost 4-0 to the Astros, and it just wasn't pretty. Wasted a Tarik Skubal start, and Skubal pitched well until he didn't, gave up the 4 runs in the 6th inning, and there you have it. All right, that was talking Tigers baseball. But yes, this is a hat from the Robert Trent Jones golf course, so shout out to Kevin 81. I played a number of different RTJ courses when my brother was stationed in the military in Dothan, Alabama. So there you go. I think he was at Fort Rucker, but yeah, I enjoyed my time in Alabama, and I've got 100 different golf hats. So I'll try and showcase them from time to time because, I don't need to wear the Tigers hats let's try that again. The Tigers hats that are in the background, and the Pistons hats and the Lions hats. But yeah, that's what we'll do tonight. We'll just, whatever's on anyone's mind, just go ahead and throw it in the comments. Because again, we don't need to talk too much Tigers baseball on a Locked On Tigers postcast. Word Vango says, is the team just in a funk? Is there any hope? This reminds me of last year, and maybe it was around this time. I should be better with the dates and the calendar and everything, but I remember this team hit a losing streak where it was just, the classic double palms up, like, what are we doing here? Is this just a funk? And I asked AJ Hinch about it after a game, if there's any changes coming to the lineup or something to try to, ignite a spark and switch something up. And I talk about this instance offense often because it was one of those times where I was like, whoa, sorry, it was just a question, man. He jumped down my throat and he got all upset at me, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I got my little badge, I'm just doing my job, I'm just here asking questions after the game because that's what we're supposed to do. And I just wondered, hey, we've lost 9 games in a row, maybe there's some changes coming. And you would have thought I insulted his children and kicked his dog, but I understand it's tough. It's a tough business, and after the wrong question can go the wrong way post game, and that was an instance there. But that's kind of how I feel like right now, where it's monotony, and it's just over and over and over again, where you just feel like the blinders are on, and this Tigers team is just doing the same thing over and over again. Demetrius McNeil, one of our regulars. Shout out to you, Demetrius. No balls, 2 strikes is the story for the Tigers all night long. You want more bad news? Justin Verlander. That's right. Tomorrow, you know what? Let's go there because I was really hoping it would be a Justin Verlander, Tarik Skubal pitching duel setup. But you know what? Jack Flaherty's been really, really good. So Flaherty will duel against Verlander tomorrow, and that's something to look forward to because it will surely be more entertaining than what we just witnessed tonight. Matt Wood saying, I mowed my yard. Yeah, well, Matt, I'm here to tell you, you didn't miss anything. And if I had a yard to mow, I would have done the same. Anything to avoid having to watch the Tigers, because let me just tell you, it is tough. Kevin 81, RTJ Hampton Cove. Okay, good stuff. Again, I was in Dothan, Alabama. So I believe it was the RTJ Highlands. I got to double check that, but great stuff. Really, really great golf courses. A lot of fun. That whole trail, the RTJ trail, is awesome. All right. Kevin 81 volunteers. I'll entertain Kate Upton while Justin is pitching tomorrow. There you go. Does that still have any pizzazz to it? The Justin Verlander, Kate Upton. I feel like they were the celebrity couple before Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And now it's Paul Skeens for the Pirates from LSU and the gymnast from LSU, Olivia something. Dunn, maybe? I don't know. I'm showing my age, but I know that's kind of baseball's celebrity couple right now, but I think Verlander and Upton will still get some play there. Born Cool, I haven't checked in on Torque in a couple of days. How's he doing? We went through a deep dive on Torque's numbers yesterday, and he was hitting 300 something. I know he had another double today. I don't have it in front of me, and I don't want to do the whole Google something while we're live on the air. So admittedly, Born Cool, I don't have it in front of me, but sure, call him back up. I was actually talking about that with a friend who Arizona State guy of all things. And I just said, listen, I know he was great for your Arizona State Sun Devils, but I'm afraid he just can't hit big league pitching. And I hope I'm wrong, but he is feasting on minor league pitching. At least he was. That was part of our show maybe it was 2 days ago. I don't know. All the days feel the same, but appreciate everybody tuning in. Tigers lose to the Astros 4-0. And honestly, guys, I just don't know what else we got here. 4-0, no offense, shutout for the 7th time. Tarik Skubal was good. We will break down his start. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Today's show is brought to you by the experts at Tax Network USA. That's right. You know what? By now we know that here on Locked On Tigers Postcast that we pride ourselves in getting you the latest around the Detroit Tigers. And whether it's good news, bad news, like tonight when it sucks, we still are here for you day in and day out. We never take a day off. And you know what else is year-round? Collection season. That's right. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. Let me tell you, they're better batters than the Tigers are. That's for sure. You know what? And listen, tax stuff, it's adult stuff. It's not something you want to have to deal with, but it's important. So with over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over you ready for this? $1 billion in tax debt. That's right, billion with a B. So whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, go ahead and call 1-800-549-100 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. Give it to you one more time. That's 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. All right, getting into Tarik Skubal's start where, again, and stop me if you've heard this one before, when you're a starting pitcher for the Detroit Tigers, all you have to do is go out and pitch a perfect game and shut out the opponent, and you'll have maybe a chance to win. And even tonight, that wouldn't have been enough. So Skubal, unfortunately, gets hit with the loss. He's 8-2. He goes 6 1/3, 6 hits, and is responsible for all 4 of those earned runs. And, I mean, the first 5 innings, it was somewhat enjoyable watching it where you think like, oh, classic pitchers duel, but at the same time, and maybe this is just me, but you're watching this thinking we've seen this movie before and one team will eventually score while the Tigers won't. And that's exactly how it played out. And honestly, it was a little bit sooner than I had thought, but nonetheless, the Astros get 4 in the 6th. And this Astros lineup, it's kind of, I would say, of all the teams in baseball that aren't playing up to their potential, the Houston Astros at 32 and 38 might be one of the more puzzling ones, because that's a lineup that, when they enter the season, obviously the Rangers are the defending world champions out of the American League West, but depending on who you talk to, and Seattle's leading the American League West, and this isn't a Locked On American League West postcast, but you would think the Astros would be every bit in the mix and haven't performed to their potential. But you know what a crazy thing is about the Houston Astros organization? You know what they did today? Everybody just, and I should have gone here from the start, especially with how the game went, because the Tigers lost 4-0. But you know what the Houston Astros did today? They cut somebody. They cut Jose Abreu. You know what Jose Abreu has achieved in his major league career? An MVP. That's right. The Houston Astros said goodbye to a former MVP because he wasn't cutting it. And he earned an MVP and a World Series championship with the Houston Astros. The Detroit Tigers don't have the stones to say goodbye to Javi Baez. And what has he done for the Detroit Tigers? What has Javi Baez done wearing the Old English D? Nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. And you know what the Houston Astros did today? They made a statement and said, look, Jose Abreu, you just don't got it anymore. We've seen enough. You tried it out in AAA and you ain't got it. You're gone. And they ate, I don't know what the number, I think it was 35 million, whatever it may be. And they said, that's okay. We're serious about winning. We are a serious organization. Goodbye, no production. Let's move on. Onward. Scott Harris could never. The Detroit Tigers could never. Chris Ilitch could never. And I promised I wouldn't get fired up, but I saw that headline today and I kind of joked about it. But at the same time, I just couldn't not go there when you look at a team like the Houston Astros that year in and year out, they're what the Tigers used to be, year in, year out, a contender for the division title and legitimate aspirations to represent the American League and win a pennant. That's what the Tigers were from 2011 and 2014. Boy, that's a long time ago. And today just was one more example of how there are professional teams in Major League Baseball that are serious about winning. And the Detroit Tigers just aren't one of them. Kevin 81, can we get Abreu for cheap? Yeah, I mean, he does have a negative WAR. Like that's why the Astros said goodbye, because he's just not a good player anymore. He'd be fine in our lineup. Go up and down our lineup. There's nobody that you would say, oh, he's got to play instead of Jose Abreu. I mean, could you imagine saying, yeah, we have to have, I mean, under no he's hitting like $125. So, something to the effect of, when, and even like, depending on who it is. Yeah. Colt Keith has to play. Zach McKinstry has to play instead of Jose Abreu. So you really could, but I don't see the Tigers going to do that. But it's just more of an example of how the Astros, they just don't mess around with the tolerance of underperforming, and they make moves in the present to win now. And they have, even though they have a worse record than the Tigers, they're still looking at this season with aspirations to do some damage. And the Tigers have a better pitching staff in a lot of ways than the Houston Astros. I mean, I don't want to make this a Astros versus Tigers comparison. It's just more of a high level example of how there's a player not performing. I don't care what he's done in the past. I don't care that he was a former AL MVP. Goodbye. Again, the Tigers could never. But just one thing I thought of that popped into my head as that's how it works. I like sometimes going through some tweets. Jed, Tigers Jed UK on Twitter, one of the best follows, or X, I guess it is now. He said, this has to be the most boring baseball team of all time. Zero speed, zero power, nobody really great with the glove, never bunt, never put hit and runs, et cetera, et cetera. Just stand up there, hope your weak ground ball finds a hole, and repeat. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty much how I feel watching this Tigers team repeatedly. Mark is in the comments, just bad baseball. It is. And that's why I'll talk about anything tonight if it can prevent me from having to go into more detail about this Tigers team. But as always, give you the final line on Scoobs. He threw 6 1/3, gets hit with the loss. He's 8-2, 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, just the 2 strikeouts. So that number way, way, way down. 84 strikes, or 84 pitches, 57 of them strikes, at ERA now at 2.20. Meanwhile, Hunter Brown, the Wayne State graduate, Detroit native, gets the win. 7 innings, 5 hits, 0, 0, 0, 9 strikeouts. Didn't walk a batter and struck out 9. God, it must be fun. If you're an opposing pitcher and you draw the Tigers on your schedule, I mean, you just have to be licking your chops. That's got to be like it's got to be like Derrick Henry, a running back on 3rd and 1, and he's getting the ball. He's just so excited. And if you're the pitcher going up against the Tigers, you just got to be so excited to just do damage and just work through that weak lineup up and down 1 through 9. But anyways, we'll close it out with studs and duds like we always do. Spoiler alert, duds the whole team. That's coming up next on Locked On Tigers Postcast. Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. That's right, the best ticketing app there is. And like I told you in the open, use that Game Time app for something other than Tigers baseball. They're not worth watching right now. And that's a great thing about the Game Time app. Any live event, we're talking concerts, comedy shows, anything that's worth going to. And maybe, you know what? Maybe you want to book a trip to Boston or Dallas or Edmonton or Florida where the Panthers play for a Stanley Cup game, NBA Finals game, or maybe you just want to go check out a different ballpark. I love doing the ballpark tour. Had the opportunity to do that a couple of different summers. Check some ballparks off your list. Anywhere you're going this summer, you got to use the Game Time app because it's convenient, easy to use, friendly app, and most importantly, they guaranteed the lowest price possible. And this is really nice. They reward procrastinators like myself because as the event gets closer and closer, those ticket prices go down, down, down. They have other nice features like all-in pricing. How many times have you gone to buy a ticket to an event, whether it's a concert, whether it's a show, whether it's a sporting event, and you think, I'm getting a great deal. You go to checkout, fee. No, with Game Time's all-in pricing, you see exactly what you're going to pay. And then you go to checkout and that number stays the same. So it's all about the transparency. Am I right? Game Time also offers flash deals. So, hey, let's get excited for a second. There's a flash deal. Boom. You can hop on it and know you're getting the best price available. That's what I love about Game Time. There's also high-res photos right from your seat. So again, takes the deception out of it, and it's all about the transparency. So take the guesswork out of buying your tickets to live events with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDON MLB, Locked On MLB for $20 off. Let me give it to you that one more time. That's LOCKEDON MLB. Download the Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. As always, we like to get into the studs and duds. Studs tonight is Hunter Brown. I mean, imagine growing up in Detroit, you're pitching against your hometown ball club. You went to Wayne State in the heart of Detroit. I mean, he played at Ernie Harwell Field, for goodness sakes. The namesake of the field is the legendary Tigers broadcaster. And you get an opportunity to just stick it to the Detroit Tigers with 7 innings of scoreless baseball. So I know he's a Houston Astro, but credit to him. He's the stud of the night. And I don't want to just keep crowning the Astros. They're so annoying. I can't stand them as a franchise for obvious reasons. But duds, I'll go AJ Hinch. It's your former team, and you lay an egg. And then I'll just say the entire Tigers offense because they just didn't show up. I mean, if will be painful, but I'll run through the batting order. Matt Vierling 0 for 4, Riley Green 1 for 4, Wenzel Perez 0 for 4, Mark Canha 0 for 4, Gio Urshela 1 for 3. And how about Colt Keith in there with 2 hits? That's right, 2 for 3. Malloy 1 for 3, Jake Rogers 0 for 3. Kreidler 0 for 2, and don't forget about the egregious base running mistake. I mean, it's just absurd. So the whole offense are a bunch of duds. This team's a bunch of duds, and a great segue into the comments with Mark. Mark, you got to help me out with your last name. I don't want to butcher it, but it's a tough one for me. Pajot. Anyways, I appreciate your comment. Is this approaching the late 90s, early 2000 lows? I was pretty young for a lot of that. But I can remember watching the Tigers with my brothers and my dad, and my dad, just explaining to us that like, this is a really bad team and they used to be good. And he would talk about the team that went 35-5. My mom would talk about that team. My mom and her family were at the clinching game in 84, and they took a chunk of center field from Tiger Stadium and planted it in their yard. There was a piece of Tiger Stadium in my grandparents' backyard from the center field turf, which is just awesome. So yes, it does feel a little bit like that because it feels directionless, hopeless. And like I've said time and time again, we deserve better as fans. And if you don't want to waste your time with this team, I completely understand. I know that's not really selling the organization or Locked On Tigers postcast for that matter. I mean, day in and day out, it's getting tougher and tougher. And that's just the truth of the matter is if, I'm never going to be that guy that, tries to sell something that's not there. I can't stand, we've all heard those sportscasters, those homers, and, maybe somebody can talk some sense into me of why there's a reason to be optimistic, but I'm not there. And if that's too dramatic of the sky's falling, the season's over, this team is worthless, then I get that as well. But again, I'm raised on sports talk radio and the opposite of, being a mouthpiece of trying to just continue to go on and on with propaganda. And I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence. I just feel like that's doing a disservice to this job, and I take the opportunity to be on Locked On Tigers very seriously. It's an honor. I went to school for this. I got my master's in broadcast journalism from Northwestern. I love the Detroit Tigers. I love interacting with everybody. I love engaging, connecting. And when it's this bad, you just have to say it. And I think those that, and this is not me getting on my soapbox, so I'll get off in a second here because I've gone on and on. But at the same time, it's just like, it's not a crime to criticize the team that you love. It doesn't take away the love that you have for the team. It just shows that you can watch the game and evaluate the performance and call it how it is. And I think everybody in the comments is on that same wavelength. So anyways, I hate to get that serious to end the night because like I said in the opening, it's a Friday night. Go on and enjoy your evening, everybody. Tigers will be back at it tomorrow. Jack Flaherty, Justin Verlander will be a fun pitching matchup. First pitch is slated for, I always get the time zones all mixed up, but it's 4:10 Eastern, so 3:10 local for the Houston Astros. And we'll be dialed in. We'll break it all down afterwards. But thanks all for watching. It's an honor to be on Locked On Tigers postcast, and I appreciate everybody's participation and comments. Have a wonderful evening. As always, thanks for making Locked On Tigers your destination postcast. Make sure you're tuning in to Locked On Tigers with Scott Bentley and all of the Locked On Detroit outlets. They do such a great job. It really is an honor and privilege to work for Locked On as a company and Locked On Detroit. So that's all I've got for tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Locked On Tigers postcast.